I'm pretty sure that's, when you look, there's a railroad spur in there, and I bet you they had multiple ones.
I drove it on the way down here myself. It's tiny. Yeah, no, just kind of right away.
Okay.
Just got all healed up.
Okay, well, good, that's good news.
But they do a free consultation, we'll go in and just try it out.
So,
You were ahead when I came in.
Yeah, they're tied.
I'm hoping that loosen because that's where they keep it I mean, I'm pretty sure, I think there's other ones that the tanks here, other places where it should.
just a second, we're waiting on one more thing. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started here. I want to welcome you all to the regularly scheduled City Council meeting for the governing body of Spring Hill, Kansas on March 23rd, 2023. If you guys could all stand with me, Pastor Zach Terrell from Become Church is going to be doing the invocation.
Father, we thank you for the privilege of representative government. We thank you for these civil servants who are making decisions for our future and for our community. We pray that as those decisions are made, you would grant wisdom and forethought, openness and integrity. And we pray for a blessing over our community. God, I pray that you would show favor to the businesses and the community groups, the people who serve, and the beneficiaries of all the many decisions that are made here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to let me know, Mr. Young did say he'll be here in a few minutes. He was running just a few minutes behind, but Madam Clerk, if you could go ahead and take the roll. Oh, there he is, as we speak.
Wow.
Perfect.
Good timing.
Right after that.
Just made the cut.
Mrs. Roth? Here. Mr. Peel?
Here.
Mr. Young? Mrs. North? Mr. Van Houten?
Here.
Mayor, we have a quorum present.
Thank you. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the agenda. We did have a request at the applicant's request to remove consent items number 5 and 6 off the agenda. Other than that, are there any other requested changes or additions? If not, I entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Next, we'll move on to a discussion item, and it's on the Waste Management Improvement Plan. And Mr. John Blessing from Waste Management, you have the floor.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. Been working closely with city staff and our local operations team, and we would like to present a plan to optimize and improve the service here in Spring Hill, and also plan for kind of the current and future growth that we know is right around the corner. Was this was included in there? Do they have that in the packet? No, okay, no problem. That's okay, that's okay. It's just a discussion item, really it's two parts of what we would like to do. The first part about improving and optimizing service is we would like to transition to providing trash carts for everybody in the city of Spring Hill. So, and let me kind of back up just so you know the time frame we're looking at here. That would be something that we would like to have completed like by the fall of this year. That would entail providing a 96-gallon trash cart and a 65-gallon recycle cart, you know, the ones with the wheels and the lids, to every person, every residence in the city. And that would be at no additional cost. Right now, I think just about every person in the city uses some type of cart, and the majority of people rent carts from Waste Management. So this would be a savings for the majority of the residents, and even the residents that don't rent carts that have to buy them at Walmart, you know, we would own that cost from here on out. The second part of the plan would be to address the growth that's happening in Spring Hill. We are looking at adding another service day to the trash and recycle collection for Spring Hill. And this, our timeframe would look to be like effective January 1 of 2024. So we have a lot of time to get this done. Some of that is we have a lot of carts to buy and stuff like that, so we've got some time, but we also want to allow enough time for discussion, and then we've got a scheduling plan for communication to the residents about these changes as well. Some specifics on that additional day would be adding Thursday, which I think everyone their trash and recycling is collected on Friday today, so we would be looking at adding a Thursday, and what we're looking at now is that 207th Street, everything from south of that would remain on Friday, and that's really the lion's share of what we have today. And then everything above that would be transitioned to a Thursday. We're seeing that's kind of where the growth is coming. So as new customers come on, they would be put onto that Thursday trash day. The bulk item collections would stay the same. I think it's on a Wednesday, the first and fourth week of the month, and I believe temporarily at least yard waste would stay on Friday, simply because we just don't have the volume to have a second route. But as that growth comes, we would move that to Thursday for those residents that are on Thursday as well, somewhere down the road. Those are really the two parts. We've got a communication plan where we would target a postcard out to residents in the summertime of this year, and that postcard would simply be communicating our cart delivery process, right? People that are currently renting carts, they don't have to do anything. They would just see their bill go down because they would no longer be paying for those carts. And then residents that don't currently rent a Waste Management cart, we would communicate with them like, here's what's going to happen. We're going to deliver carts on these days, and just so they would know what's going on. We would then look to deliver all of those carts fall. I spoke to the team today, and October is kind of like a target. If we could have all the carts delivered in the month of October, that gets us done before the weather turns or the holidays come in. And then we would go live with fully carted system and those 2 different collection days, again, targeting like effective January 1 of next year. There would probably then be another, I skipped a postcard, there'd be another postcard maybe in December at the end of the year, just telling those people that are moving from Friday to Thursday, hey, don't forget, here's what's happening in the next couple of weeks, and we'll probably include like a little calendar so they know for the first quarter of the next year, here's your collection day. Again, this is something that we are working with city staff on, and we just, as we're developing this plan, thought it would be a good idea to get it in front of the council and, I field any questions you have. I think it's just a discussion item today, so there really isn't any action that needs to be taken. But eventually there probably would be. It would require some contractual updates, like the contract currently states, residents have to rent carts. Well, we would want to remove that and, say we're providing a cart at no charge, stuff like that. So eventually there will come a time when some decisions have to be made and approval is sought. But wanted to start with this discussion item, kind of tell you the plan, hope you're excited about it, we are, and see what kind of questions you may have. And that's about it.
I think it's a great idea, if nothing else, for providing the residents the trash cans and also uniform everything, make everything uniform to where everybody has the same can, same size, same look. It just makes it look all a little better and everything. And then just providing cans for people that, may have a hard time getting them or.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's great.
I think there's a lot of people currently using the open, I'm going to call them tubs.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if those are just because they have owned them from previous service or if those are tubs that you guys are currently
Yeah,
providing or
that's
renting.
currently what the contract, we
Okay.
provide those, so we would like to get away from those.
I would love to see those go away
Yes,
because
so would we.
unfortunately where I live, all of it blows out on
Exactly right.
days and
Yes.
none of it gets recycled and it does the opposite. It
You're right.
litters and not recycles. So
Yes, I'm
I'm
glad to
fully
hear
on
that.
board with these carts.
Good.
That's fantastic. So thank you for providing that. I think
Sure.
it's going to make a big difference in hopefully the litter in the community.
Absolutely.
Well,
One
it's
of-
a lot larger size too, the
Yeah.
recycling bin.
Yeah, those are like
little tiny ones.
20-some gallon tubs, and the recycling cart would be a 65 gallon, and the trash 96.
So the recycling ones will be a little bit smaller. I've seen your waste, the regular waste ones, and those are obviously pretty sturdy. We get really windy here. I'm assuming those smaller recycling carts are sturdy enough to where.
Yes.
Not saying they're indestructible and won't blow over.
No, they're
but
weighty.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got.
They're not top heavy and.
The wind we've been getting around here, though.
Yeah, I know. I know.
But don't put a brick in the bottom of it.
Barring that you chain it down.
Right.
Okay.
We've actually, I was talking to the operations team before I came out here, and we see, new accounts being added on a weekly basis. And so we're kind of discussing with those new accounts that get set up. And again, this will be something that we'll clear with city staff, but we would like to propose an idea too of just from like some date soon moving forward, everything that we set up, we're just gonna give them carts. Because, why do we wanna give them one of those tubs when in 3 months from now, I'm just gonna be taking it back? So we may have an idea to do that. I mean, I don't wanna upset the apple cart with the way things are being run, but if, it just makes sense, if we're all on board to start making that shift a little bit, and then that's less we have to do when we wanna swap everything out to begin with.
I realize that's not part of this discussion, but I would love to see those tubs go away, just from a litter standpoint.
Right.
So if you guys can do carts, that'd be great. Again, I realize it's not on the,
No, I think we can, and
Okay.
that's what we would like to do. I just, you've gotta talk about
Yeah,
it, because somebody
sure.
says, hey, why did they get a cart, and I still have this tub? Well,
Yeah.
yours is coming, right?
Right.
Yours is coming.
When you guys do provide those, and let's say the resident has the tubs that were provided by you guys, will you guys take those with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll pick those up and drop and then there's a lot of discussion on, and we'll provide some communication if residents have a current, old trash can that they bought at Walmart 10 years ago and they want to get rid of it, we can throw those away. We want to make sure that everything is clearly labeled. We've gone through some instances where we've thrown people's trash cans away and they're like, oh no, I wanted to save that. which we do recommend saving it if they have yard waste, because that's a great alternate, instead of getting those craft bags. It's a great alternative there, but we'll go through that process, and then if they wanna label it as throw it away, or they wanna keep it, no problem.
So how do you guys plan to, kind of incur that cost of the carts? There's not gonna be any kind of increase, you said, on the waste side?
No, it's really just the modernization of the service.
Yeah.
As you've seen probably through the Kansas City metropolitan area and even down here in Miami County, the old days with the guy on the back of the truck, those days are gone, right? It's all the automated cans. So it actually helps our efficiencies and to retain drivers when all they have to do is sit in that, and.
I was gonna say, are you switching to the trucks with the arms on them then?
Correct,
Okay.
correct. Yeah, we would go to an automated vehicle
Okay, so
that
that
has
makes
all that
sense.
stuff. Yeah, and then that's.
That was kind of where I was going with it. Are you switching kind of how you're doing it now?
Yeah,
Because I know now they kind of ride in the back and do the old school way.
right, yeah. And the new ones are all run on compressed natural gas, and they're a lot nicer. as
Okay,
well.
cool.
And any questions on that day change and that dividing line? I mean, we were, again, working with city staff, kind of looking at a good spot and where everything is today, and then, where we project the growth to go. And
Is there any benefit to doing it based off county, so it's easier for people to understand if they're in between that?
Same thing.
207th to 15th, because that 207th to 15th is still Johnson.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it'd probably be easier if you could just say, hey, Johnson County's on Thursday, Miami's on Friday, but
I
I know if there's.
will note that.
There's a lot of houses in there, so I know that
Yeah.
maybe couldn't.
That's,
work,
it's
but-
only
skew
one,
your numbers
one
too
street
much.
further.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, it's certainly something we could look at, because it would make it easy.
Yeah, kind of like with the bulk.
The
pickup, right?
large item pickup is set up that way
Yeah.
right now too. where
Right.
It's a different day for Johnson County folks than it is for Miami County folks.
Okay.
So your transition on information might be a little simpler there.
I appreciate the feedback. Yeah, we'll take that to the drawing board and see if, again, I think the only thing that would be a problem is if there's just too many houses that throw that route off or whatever, but that's a good idea to look at. Anything else that?
Um,
How about, I know right now they do a lot with the stickers from the Price Chopper. Would that stay the same, or if you have extra
Yeah,
trash?
because it would still be, the service doesn't change. It's still limited to the cart. It's just now we'll be giving everybody a cart. So if they have overages, they would still use the stickers just
Okay,
as
so they could still do
before.
that, okay.
There's probably also an option to, if they wanted a second cart, then they could rent an additional cart, but they would get the first one for free. Some people just know they're gonna always have overages, and so why buy stickers all the time? Just rent that
Yeah.
second cart.
Okay, cool.
And this is pertaining to residential only.
Correct, correct.
we would
Oh, okay.
anticipate needing to redo a contract as well.
There's going to be some updates to it. There was some discussion about, obviously, the verbiage about the carts, because it's tubs and, rental and all that kind of thing. There was some look at capital investment, and this is all on the drawing board, where, the capital in the carts and the capital in those automated side loader trucks, looking at if the remaining 3 years on the contract helps us amortize that out, or if we could come back to you and ask, can we get a year or two added to that, just to kind of help us, amortize out those costs.
Level out some of that cost.
Right. But again, those are, we're not quite done crunching our numbers, on exactly how many carts we need and what the prices are today and that kind of stuff, but that's certainly something that is on the table.
And that, just so everyone knows, that may get us into a new bidding process situation for a new contract, so all of you know, it might not be a super, easy switch in, switch out, so if there's a delay, if there's a rebid, don't blame him, blame me.
Any other questions or comments on that?
No, thanks.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Next item on the agenda is a proclamation. This month is recognizing Fair Housing Month. And with that, I, Joe Berkey, Mayor of Spring Hill, Kansas, on behalf of its citizens, do hereby proclaim the month of April as Fair Housing Month. And so we just wanted to recognize that as a city. Next item on the agenda is citizen participation. And if you would, we have a list here, but if there's anyone that's not on the list, if you'd like to step up and state your name and your address, and then whatever you want to speak about. The first person we have on the list is Mr. Bill Pearman.
Just walked out.
Oh, he just walked out.
I think
Well, we'll go to the next one on the list, and if he comes back in, we'll give him another, unless he's gonna come back.
Yeah, I think he's
Oh, there he is. There he is. You at least got the right shirt on.
Bill Peterman, 19431 West 200th Street. And I was asking him some questions because I'm not up there, I'm back there, so I don't get to ask questions of people when they come in. So, because I have a cart that's just like their cart. But even though it's as nice as their cart and it's the exact same thing, he says it has to be one of their carts with their numbers on them. So anyway, my thing is the cables stuff going in right now. They was in my yard today, dug the hole yesterday, and I went out there and watched because they had all my sprinkler system out of the ground. And I know they give that stuff away to you guys, but I have to pay for it, so I'm gonna get stuck having to pay for it. Unless you guys have a big enough bond on these companies coming in to do this work so that they're stuck paying for their mistakes. They're hitting other internets. See, I have 2 internet companies in the front yard, and now after yesterday, I have 2 internet companies in the backyard. And the internet company that's just going in cut the internet company that's been there since I've lived there. So they don't call when they cut lines. I would like to have somebody somehow talk to these companies, this Comcast, to say, hey, show a little respect for the people. You know, if you're gonna leave it, and you ought to see the pile of dirt I got in my yard now. I have a level yard, except for where the plastic boxes are for these Comcast people. And the last company that came through, it's 3 to 4 inches down in the ground on one end and 3 to 4 inches up on the other end, which is not level. That won't get leveled out unless I do it, or people like me that have that same problem do it themselves, because these companies don't respect us enough to do it right. Like I say, I hope you have a big enough bond to cover, because I've been through this with one other deal where on 199th Street, they came through, they didn't sow the grass where they dug the holes, and we had more weeds than we had grass. They threw some grass seed out, but we had more weeds than we had grass. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. You guys need to take a little responsibility and say, okay, we have nice stuff. We want to keep nice stuff. When you get done working in our yard, clean it up. The rain's going to come, and that'll wash off all the mud that they walked across the driveway and marked up. I mean, that's just acceptable. But the pile of dirt out in the back where they dug the hole down 4 foot, and they cut, what'd they cut? They cut, it's not CenturyLink anymore. It's Brightstar. They cut their cable, and then my sprinkler system. My sprinkler system will not be turned on for another month. So I won't know that they did anything wrong because they ain't gonna tell me, for a month. And a month from now, they'll be gone. So I'd appreciate your help on this. Thank you.
Yeah, and I will speak to, thank you, Bill. I will speak that to a little bit. We have gotten promises from both companies that are doing any of the fiber that they are going to take care of any issues. And we do have contact phone numbers that we can get to you to directly talk with them. And they have promised, they have held money back for both companies are holding money back in the end to take care of any issues that come up. And we, like I said, we have direct contact information that our city staff can get you to talk directly with the people in charge.
Well, I directly talked to him today, and all I got was, I don't speak English.
No, directly talk to the person in charge, not the person on the job site working.
Yeah.
Contractors doing the
contract,
install,
yeah.
not the ones that can help you.
Yes, their
I
contract.
talked to the manager today, and he told me, no, that was the other company. The other company's in here today, so I went to them, and then I got out my pictures. Well, it turned out that the guy with the white straw hat on, that was right beside him, was the guy that was digging the hole in my yard yesterday. So you have to take pictures because these guys will lie to you.
Well, the guy in charge knows which ones are there, so we can definitely get you the guy in charge's information, and you can talk to him directly, and they have promised to take care of any
The
issues.
guy in charge today was lied to me though too. And then when I came back, he was gone
Gotcha.
and he didn't come back, so.
Well, I guess the person I'm talking about is above
You're
that
talking
guy.
about somebody
Yeah,
up and
they're
up
not
that
on
doesn't
site,
have a
yeah.
shovel or close to a
There's
shovel.
nobody
Correct.
on site that's gonna
Correct.
take care of that. It's gonna be somebody with the company.
Well, and that's the deal though. You have businesses and you have people working for you. You want them to respect your customers.
Absolutely.
These guys don't respect their customers.
Mayor, I believe Comcast has put door hangers
Yeah.
that have the phone number to contact, but you can also contact Community Development Office, and Amy will put you on a list, and then we will contact the company to make sure that there's a follow-up.
All right.
So we have a couple different things that we're trying to do to keep it.
And they have been,
They have some responsibility.
Well, I'm
and
not,
they have been very good about following up and taking care of any
I
issues
just
that
got-
arise.
I've got a lot of neighbors that, well, I'm not going to city council. It ain't gonna do any good. But, I still like to come.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you coming. Like we say, we want everybody taken care of. We want everybody happy. Ultimately, this is progress. You know, internet has been an issue for the entire almost 20 years I've lived here, and we're finally seeing some progress in the internet world. So that's a major plus, but there are some very big growing pains with it, and we're trying to get past those, but they have promised to take care of any issues. So we want to leave it with everybody happy and everybody's yard back how it was, and if not better. So
Well, what about the boxes when they're uneven like that? To me, that's an eyesore. And it's bad when you cut grass. To some people that don't take care of their yard, it just means that's someplace they don't have to cut grass.
And I think you could take that up with them, and I think they'd be happy to resolve that as well. I've actually had one situation where the same thing happened, and they were out pretty
Did
quickly
get
to
taken
fix it.
care of?
Yes.
Okay, well, hopefully things happen. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person on the list is Mr. Charles Morse.
Thank you. Charles Morse, 18460 South Ridgeview Road. I'd like to say I would be happy if I had more than one internet option. That would be great. Be a good problem to have. I just had just an idea on item number 10 related to the comprehensive plan RFP award. And I know the planning commission has had a couple of work sessions. I tried to dial into one of them. The audio wasn't working, and unfortunately I haven't been able to attend. So my question might already have been answered out there, but I haven't seen it. But as I look through the list of the services provided in Exhibit A, there's focus groups, there's the steering committee meetings, city leadership workshops, and then something called a digital engagement platform and engagement stations. And I assume that those are to try to solicit feedback. But my thought is, one thing to me that was perhaps missing from the proposal is some quantitative research. So a really comprehensive extended survey of residents where you get 500 to 1,000 respondents and you really get statistically significant and meaningful responses, from the community. So it's just an idea because in a survey like that would also allow you to get demographic information, psychographics, and you can correlate those to the answers of the respondents and try to really get a statistical feel of what does the community want to see in the comprehensive plan and what are their ideas and vision for the future, because I hear a lot of different ideas here, even within the governing body, but also on the planning commission. Some people say we want affordable housing, other people say we want to maintain a small town feel, other people say we need more rental options, others say no, home ownership is the most important and we don't want duplexes. And I think at the end you need diversity, but I think it could be instructive to the governing body for the purpose of the comprehensive plan if in this proposal you guys could it's somewhere have a survey basically, and it may be like I said that the digital engagement platform and the engagement stations are trying to do that to get a lot of respondents, but in order for it to be really significant, you really need like that 500 to 1,000 people responding, which would be 10%, of the population. And I think you'd get a really good feel then if you could get that level of participation. So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. And we're very hopeful that there will be a lot of participation in this. I mean, a lot of people think we're just saying it to say it when we say we want citizen participation in this, but we really do want the community participation in this. We want everybody, as many people as will show up to meetings as will send emails, get involved on the digital platform. We really do want feedback and want to know how you guys want us to grow, where you want us to grow, and we really will take that to heart. We're not just gonna take all this feedback and do nothing with it. Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard that online, but Pat said the digital platform's open 24/7.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, once it's live and kicking, it'll be open 24/7. So if you're bored at midnight and you want to send us some information, go for it, or some ideas, I should say.
I assume that portion's gonna have some outreach too, to get people to actually do it.
Sure, we'll reach out through all of our means of communication. And then also those platforms will be a part of the discussion also. So you can be at home and just get on this platform and ask the questions live as well.
Okay.
So I couldn't have told you what a digital platform was 2 months ago, you guys. So, but it
I believe
looks like
you.
it's going to really work well. Yeah.
It's not MySpace.
And so the other thing is we will be holding some weekend sessions as well. Try everything we can to accommodate the area residents, not just the city, but also outside, to get their thoughts, feelings, concerns, everything.
And that's why we're trying to do so many different methods of people being able to get involved, is because maybe somebody can't make it here in person. Maybe they can only do it digitally. Maybe somebody doesn't know how to do it digitally. Maybe they know how to send an email, so there's just lots of different ways to try to get involved, to get feedback and ideas.
And I believe they even outlined that in some of their presentation, the different
I was gonna say,
platforms
that was
that
my
they.
understanding.
Yeah,
is that
there were gonna be
we're
several different platforms of communication. Not everybody picks just the same one, so.
So Chuck, I think, I think that was the hope, was to get it out there, to get at least, 500 to 1,000 responses to really get a good idea.
And that was one of the biggest attractive things to this particular company is all the different platforms they were offering to be able to get community engagement.
Cool.
Anyone else that would like to step up and say anything? If not, we'll go ahead and close citizen participation at this point. We'll move on to the consent agenda. I entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended.
So moved.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Not all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Next, we'll move on to formal council action. The first item on the agenda is consider the approval of Veterans Park Memorial Design, and Mr. Messer, you have the floor.
Need to do a little bit of the technological stuff here real quick.
And I'm excited to see this finally. I mean, we've been saying for months that it was getting ready to start, and it's finally actually started. We actually have dirt being moved and work being done, so I'm pretty excited about that. Something that was a long time coming.
Dirt being moved as you speak. You can see I don't hook these things up every day. Maybe it works. Maybe it doesn't. Work back there, work fine.
Just trying to see if you have any interesting files here.
Yeah, there's a few there.
You need some more icons on your
We
desk.
used to have a lot more. My computer took a dump in a lot of my files. I don't have anymore.
My OCD
All right, there it is.
Yeah,
went crazy looking at
that
that.
desktop was wild.
Oh,
I don't know what it's doing now. That's just not what I asked it to do. There we go. All right. The task for tonight is we're going to select 4 bench quotes, approve the bench and tablet selections if you agree with them, and then approve 2 additional benches and tablets. And what that is we're going to do 4 because that's what the plans really called for. The project purchased or project included 2, but I just secured I've been working with Al and Pam Knable family trust fund, and they have agreed to purchase the additional 2 benches and tablets. So
Nice.
I'm really excited that we can do all of them. Basically, a little bit of the history. I know Lane wants me to hurry up because he's going to want to see the K-State game, but you know.
I was gonna say, it's,
He's checking probably. He probably can give you an update. But anyway, phase 1 was completed. This is funding. Phase 2, we have 2 confirmed donors. We have others that have been talking about it. The $87,000 for the fishing jetties and the now the $42,000 for the additional tablets. We've been talking with them, and I told them to go ahead and design 4 and 4 just in case. And talking about the dirt moving and this was taken yesterday. The 2 jetties are pretty well in hand. They'll be formed up Monday. Here's a real rough of where the site's going to be. This I brought up for a reason, because this is the old plan. You got to ignore some of the stuff like the water, but it does show the all 4 of the tablets. And I forgot something. Hang on 1 second.
There we go.
Got to get it ahead of time.
He's got a.
I didn't know how to do that. I
I
tried
did.
it and tried it.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but since you left.
It would not let me do it. It was, anyway, the tablets up there, it shows the tablets. Now on the bottom right, it has a tablet, and it also has a, got it, we're going to clear this out. The thing on the far right is called the Battle Cross, and we'll get to those in a second. And that's what the Battle Cross. Now, these are not in the design, but we're trying to put the stations for these, because I've also got a commitment for next year to purchase those and put them in with a donation. The intent is those are $10,000 a piece, and hopefully we can get more than 1 donor. And if not, somebody said, well, if not, we'd like to see you do it, but let's give it a try. I've looked at those, and they're fantastic. You can't read the writing on there, but each one of those has the Airman Creed, the Army Creed, Navy, Coast Guard, and I think the one on the right that doesn't look like, I think the Space Force was a pretty new concept when they started that. Okay, and that is pretty much the design as we are working on it. It only reflects 2 tablets. It does reflect the 6 seals, and we learned a lot on those seals. It's like, well, let's just go put these seals up. We have to get permission from the Department of Defense for this and the Department of Defense, so we've got all that in place. Okay, here's the real fun stuff. These are the bench covers that I'm asking for approval on. This is the top of the bench. I'll get to a picture in a minute that shows a little bit better picture of what it looks like. But these scenes I took to the park board. I've been to the American Legion. The one on the bottom was the latest one because we rejected one of the bench themes because there's 2 thoughts. The tablets, we're looking at equipment, we're looking at airplanes, maybe different types of mechanical or operational stuff. On the benches, we went to a personal touch, heroism. You've got Iwo Jima there. You've got Tuskegee. You've got the code talkers. You've got the woman on the left who was probably a transport pilot in World War II, taking planes to the front. Those are 2 of the benches that we'd like to see approved. And that's the next 2. Again, we have D-Day there. We have on the second, it's a Civil War. It's probably reenactment, but and then the Doughboys, Coast Guard. So, and then the medic. So these are the scenes we asked them to incorporate. They kind of threw us a curveball when they said, well, what do you want on there? And it's like, I thought you were designing this stuff and we were going to say yes or no. So we've worked about 2 or 3 months back and forth coming up with ideas. I'd come up with an idea and turn around and find a suitable picture for it. This is not one of the ones we're doing, but I put this in here to show you what the bench will look like. And I'm telling you, in that granite with the laser technology, it looks just like that. It is so, it makes your jaw drop. They're so gorgeous and beautiful. And some people said, well, let's not have flags there because we don't want to sit on a flag, but I don't know that I would sit on them anyway. But this, one of the reason I put this in there, if you see the lettering on the front, that's the quotes that are going to be on it. And I'll get to that in a minute because the park board, I started out with talking to the American Legion and the park board and wasn't getting a lot of feedback. And so I created a list of about 30 sayings that I thought were pretty good, and then I handed them out to staff, I handed them out to the American Legion, I handed them out to the park board, and that's where the list that you're going to see is coming from. And that's the list. And this is another thing I'm asking for permission to proceed with these sayings. And this is what the park board recommends. I can read them if you want me to. I don't know if we'll put who quoted it. I don't know if we have to. That's a question for Johnson Granite. But this is what's going to go on the base of the bench, on the face of the bench. So you guys basically have the final say on the 4 that we choose. The alternates there were in case you didn't like any of the ones up above. We are forever indebted to those who have given their lives so we might be free. And I really like this one. We don't know them all, but we owe them all. To the courageously gave their lives, and those who bravely fight today, thank you. May we never forget, freedom isn't free. The last one, may we never forget, freedom isn't free, came out of the woodwork, so to speak. I didn't have it on my list, but when I passed this around to staff, it kept popping up on there, and I'm saying, I sure wish I had that. So I took it to the park board, and they picked it out as one of the 4 they wanted to recommend. The other 2 down below were close. So that's kind of, I guess we can, I don't know if you want to look at them more or keep moving on and then come back to that or whatever you want to do.
I have a question on these quotes. If we're gonna put who said one of them, like you have Ronald Reagan there,
Yeah.
I would definitely want to make sure legally we cover ourselves, that we give credit where credit is due.
Some of them didn't have anybody that was quoted. I
Sure.
went through
And I understand that.
my first attempt was a failure because I went online and said quotes of valor and locked my computer up and I had to call IT and some kind of a virus on it. But we will look at that and I will ask Johnson
Yeah, as long as we
Granite
cover
because they've
ourselves
done
there.
it so many times.
Sure.
I would definitely like to put the names on there, and I think usually,
Okay.
typically, if we don't know who it is, it usually just says unknown.
Okay, I'll do that.
'Cause I think
Add that.
give honor where honors due. If that,
I think
in
for
my opinion.
conformity, you need to do all of them the same way. So
That's
either
awesome.
you got,
Sorry, you were still going there.
Yeah.
you got the quote on there or not.
And then my other point was, I just wanted to make sure that, I don't know, I'm not a grammar professional, but I would definitely want to make sure our grammar is somewhat correct. Is courageously supposed to be capitalized? Or is that just typed
Probably
in
that's
this
just me.
slide? Okay,
I
okay.
was
Wasn't
probably
trying to call you out.
bring attention to that word that I like maybe.
Sure, no, I wasn't trying to call you out. I just want to make sure that all of the grammar is,
Yep.
it's going in stone, so.
And the people at Granite, or that Johnson Granite said, we will double check everything you send.
Yeah,
They
no
said
spelling
they're good
errors.
at it. Yep.
There's no
Okay.
whiteout.
Just making
Yep.
sure.
I
So-
think those are great quotes. I
Yeah.
think that really covers a lot of different areas and it'll,
I was really surprised. I handed them out to just anybody down the hall that would do it and the range that we got, but those floated to the top for the most part.
And everything lasers directly onto the stone. So there's no like second material that has to be attached or
Nope.
glued or anything like that.
Lasers right onto it.
Okay. And does it have texture or is it smooth?
It's almost
and
like
flat?
glass.
Okay, so it's smooth.
I would assume it's kind of like a headstone, right? The new
Yes,
headstone,
yes, exactly.
like that, how they do it.
Same technology, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was stunned at what they could do now. I thought, but I went up there and looked at their samples up there in Kansas City, Missouri, and it's just mind-boggling how beautiful it is.
Are these benches intended to be sat on? I see something like that and I would not want to sit on it. I feel like there's a level of respect there that,
I think that's exactly where it is. It's what you feel comfortable with.
okay. Okay,
And I am a little concerned. It is a remote location, but we are talking about possibly putting some cameras on the buildings and to watch them and to track it a little bit more. But I would,
well, and
No,
if they're
you know,
designing the benches this way,
right.
you know, I'm assuming it's what it's intended for. I'm not sure I
Yeah.
would feel comfortable sitting on it,
Yeah.
but that could be a
People
personal
wanted the
choice.
American flag taken off. Some people said I can't sit on an American flag, but it's a scene. So it was really kind of odd the way everybody had
That could just
different
be a personal
opinions.
choice.
Yeah, I think it's a personal choice. I think
Sure.
you'll definitely have people that are gonna sit on them, cause I mean, it's a bench. That's
Yeah.
essentially what it's intended for, but I think you'll have other people that just
And you
personally feel comfortable.
Yeah.
got people who want to spend some, more time there, that you might need to sit down at some point.
Yeah.
Or, kind of like at church, you stand if you're able, if not, it's okay.
And I don't think any of us will feel like they're disrespecting
No.
if they sit on it. I say, but once again, I think it's a personal preference whether you would sit on it or not.
So I thought there might be a different location to put a scene like that instead of
Yeah.
where your bottom goes.
Well, we've got some more coming. We're not done. We got
Okay.
some really
Okay.
nice stuff. But one of the next chapters of this is to work with the park board and the American Legion and find out on the names that'll go on the back of the tablets. And we want to set up a rating criteria and how it would be. So that's the next phase. Let me keep moving before I get lanes to me. These are the tablets. Amy, could you help me? This is not one of them because it didn't make the cut, but it shows how big these are and what they look like. This is how big the tablets are gonna be. And that's pretty much,
Nice.
That's cool.
like I said, this one, I liked it, but when they sent the finals back, they had changed it, so.
Oh, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, I like
Beautiful. Yeah, the detail.
like that bottom picture is pretty sweet with the
With
the planes flying in the formation.
Thank you.
which
One
this
of the-
one's got.
One of the big questions was, we thought about putting the words at the top. And all of a sudden, it became an impossible task because how do you pick 4 out of those 8 words? And so we came up with, can we put top and bottom? And I think they laid out really well that way. I have to have one disclaimer, the one on the right, honor and valor, I'm asking them to change out. The bottom portion where the 2 jets are, I don't have the new rendition, but the park board looked at that and they said, we really don't have the Navy represented. So I asked them to remove those 2 or one of them or something, and I gave them 3 suggestions. In 1907, the USS Kansas was launched and was a battleship in that era. It probably was scrapped in the 20s with Washington Disarmament Treaty. The second choice would be the USS Kansas City, which is in commission now. Or the third choice I gave them was the USS Enterprise from World War II, which was the most decorated ship in the World War II. I gave them those 3 choices to see what they could fit in there, but that one will change, and we will put a naval vessel in there. When the park board looked at that, I thought, yeah, we got a landing craft that was probably, might have been crewed by an Army or might have been crewed by Navy, and that was all that we had for Navy, and I felt they were right. When I went to the American Legion, we yanked a couple of Black Hawk helicopters out, and we put those Hueys in there beneath the Defend, because the Hueys were more representative of the Vietnam conflict, and they asked for that. So I think we've captured about all. Someone made the comment, well, what's going to happen is you're going to have those there, and somebody's going to say, well, my father was in Vietnam with these Hueys, and they might even be taking pictures next to them because they're so impressive. So, but that's the draft 4 that we've selected, with the caveat that we're going to put a naval vessel of some sort on the bottom of that right one. And I think that's it. again, we did get a generous donation from the Alan and Pam Knable Family Foundation to be able to do 4 of them instead of 2. Because we had only, back when we got the 907,000 and we couldn't do it, we did a little bit of slicing to try to get it back to a manageable number, and that was, they ended up on the cutting room floor, but I'd sure like to put them back. And like I said, there's people out there saying, we want those battle crosses. One thing about the battle crosses is they're going to be so impressive. And like I said, I think that's a next year's project that we're really looking forward to. And they will say the Airman Creed and the Naval Creed. I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I like it all. I think it's great. I think it's a great way to honor. I have many family members that are in the military, and so I think it's great honor to them and something that's definitely needed out there. So I'm excited. I think it looks great.
And you said that all 8 are covered budget-wise, right? With the addition that you got, right? Because in the packet it says that we initially did 4. And
Yeah,
then
this
one down.
changed after the packet went out because I got that commitment yesterday.
Okay.
Or the day
That's what I-
before yesterday.
That was
Day
all I
before
understood. I
yesterday.
just wanted to make sure that was correct.
I was hoping because we were holding off with the, now Lane's just got to sign the change order for the additional, but it's not coming out of our funds for the additional. It's coming out of the foundation over there. So I was kind of wafering because I was waiting to get a firm commitment on that, which I got.
Cool.
And the other thing that wasn't in the packet that I, was that, because I had to wait till Monday to meet with the park board to let them help me weed through the last. So what I was hoping to get was a, approval for the, as presented for the tablets, the benches, and the quotes.
Yeah, I think how you presented it and including the change on with the naval edition on that tablet, I think those are all great. I appreciate the time and the effort that you spent on this and coordinating with all the groups in the community. So I know that probably took some time, and I don't know if you're interested in this stuff. I see a little spark when you talk about it, so.
Very, very
Yeah,
interested.
yeah.
I probably
Thank you
have,
for making it personal and specific and,
I probably have 500 or 600 books that, as a reference materials,
yeah.
library on this stuff, so it was pretty easy to find stuff.
Yeah.
I'm excited because what I pictured this is even better than what I pictured or expected. So it looks amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks to all those that generously donated.
Yes,
to
thank
make
you
this
to Cables
possible.
and everyone else that donated.
And the fact that we already have some promises for next year is quite rewarding.
Do we need an official vote on this or just a consensus to?
It's on formal.
There's no.
Yeah, I guess it's formal, so I guess we have to vote.
I think that's what you had asked for.
Yeah, we'll vote. Yeah, it's formal, so I guess. Well, with that, I entertain a motion to approve as presented.
Sorry, let me switch back. I move to approve the graphic designs as presented for the benches and tablets at Veterans Park Memorial.
And quotes.
And quotes.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
We're adding the names to all of
Yes,
those?
yes, and I will
Yes.
make that
Did you
adjustment.
put that in there or no? Does that matter?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of 2023 Spring Hill Aquatic Center rates. And Mr. Messer, you still have the floor.
Yep, I would like to have Mark come up and explain this. He's the facility manager. He's put a lot of time in calling and checking on rates and developing the schedule and then rechecking. And we met with Rhonda and went over everything again. But I'd like to have Mark present it since he's a subject matter expert on this.
All right.
Good evening, Council and Mayor.
Good evening.
So as we were looking, as building this season, one of the things we wanted to take a little harder look at was the rates. We know that the rates that we've had at the Aquatic Center were placed on its opening in 2010, and they've just been carried through. So from about early December through early February. I was collecting data from other locations, and this data is kind of like comparing apples to bananas to pineapples. Everybody does their offerings a little bit different and some considerably different. One of the bigger things this year was Olathe dropped their family rate and just went to an individual. They used to do a tiered family, and so that was a big change. But the most important data that has the biggest effect on our facility is, I believe, is Olathe and Gardner. If we're going to lose patrons or we're going to lose the possibility of a hire, it's probably going to be to one of those two facilities. So that's where, not only when we looked at rates of pay, but for admission, those were where we were taking our closest look. So we collected that data. As Jackie mentioned, we had a sit down and discussion about all this data and the offerings. And what we're proposing is some adjustments, some market adjustments. Some things are staying the same. And we're also proposing that we drop a couple offerings that just aren't very good or popular or used very often. So as you look at the comparison between what's being proposed for 2023 and the 2022, you'll see the individual season passes, we're leaving those alone. We're suggesting a $20 increase in the household season passes each. The punch pass, we're suggesting to delete that. That is not an offering that's used very often. We literally probably had about 12 to 15 punch passes sold last year. So we're just not doing very much of that. And the punch pass, if a patron doesn't use all the passes, we've had a couple of cases where they've come back and they want to get that adjustment and have those additional passes placed on the one next year. And the software doesn't let us do that very easily and becomes a manual calculation and involving accounts payable and working the adjustment. It's just so, but because that's just not very popular, we're suggesting the deletion of that. Daily emissions, we're suggesting the dailies go up $1. We are leaving, suggesting that we leave alone the free for seniors, and for our facility, that's 62 and over is free, and for what we call infants, or that infant toddler range, 2 and under, remains free. We're not suggesting any changes to that. The twilight admission would go up $1 also. One of the biggest changes that you'll see is our rates for the after-hour private parties. So those had been, what I understand, those rates had been the same since 2010. Well, you know, the market, the labor market, a lot of things have changed in those 13 years. And when we applied the labor calculation for an hour of operation, most of the rentals are in the larger option of option number 4. So we use that calculation and showed that on the rate sheet. But our labor for 3 hours, so a 2-hour party takes about 3 hours to try and set up and clean up time. We're going to burn about 3 hours time frame in that. And we're right at just a little hair over $800. So the rates that we're suggesting for private party are basically just covering our labor. So we did not have any trouble last year filling all the dates that were available for private parties. We even went to some weekdays, and we had a lot of patrons that wanted a date that was already taken and they just didn't have any other good options. So it's a big demand item. There's a lot of demand for it. We even had some private parties that were groups of 4 to 6 families that went together, and man, they filled the pool, you know. So
do you think the price change in the private rentals is gonna have a big negative impact on demand, or you feel comfortable that the demand is still gonna be?
No, I don't think it's gonna matter. I think they're gonna sell out. And the thing about the private party is, if we can't do that, so we're giving a private offering for this public facility that's been largely supported by tax dollars. You know, we all know pools don't make money, they lose money, and then we're in the business of how little can we lose, you know? How many can we get in there, and how good can we make our facility, and how little can we lose? If the private parties don't sell out, I'm not as concerned about that. It puts a lot of stress on the schedule also.
Yeah.
Really makes the longer days on the weekends. We did pretty good through the first half of the season last year, but we cracked and broke. Staffing, we were losing quite a few guards were dropping off. And to save from doing any more, if you remember, we cut a couple hours off the day. So we don't want to be in that position again. Any other questions on private party? Cabana rentals, proposing keeping those the same. We just need to do more marketing on the cabana rentals. They stay empty the majority of the season. We do have some rentals for birthday parties. Most of the people are bringing in their own treats and their own things for their birthday party in the cabanas, but we're going to work on some things where we can try to fill those cabanas more this year. So if anything, we're probably going to be running some manager specials and doing some unique things with cabanas just to try to bring some extra attention and some extra revenue in, and you'd be able to utilize those cabanas. Our swim lessons will again be group lessons with YMCA instructors. We do put guards in the water to help support the program with the YMCA instructors. So the students, that group of students that's in the water gets a little more time doing the activities within that class for that lesson at that time. And met with them just last week, and they've confirmed that they can cover the same schedule we had last year. They'll have enough instructors to do that. So hopefully we'll fill up those lessons. Our lesson will be $100 this year, and a lesson consists of a session that is 2 weeks long, and they'll have 8 45-minute classes to a lesson.
So that's actually up. Last year was 6, right?
Yeah, that's an increase from last year. Last year we carried on last year the rate that was in place during that partial year coming out of COVID, where we had a lot of reductions. And so we carried that rate and kept it over. But when we look back and looked at historically what our rates were for swim lessons, this is where they were at, $100 for that 2-week session. So we're suggesting on leaving the Riverwalk Punch Pass alone. That's a program that's used by a lot of the senior residents to get in the lazy river and get that specific exercise. We do charge for the AM. We have 2 AM sessions, and we run those 7 of the 11 weeks of the season. We have Riverwalk Monday through Friday, and last year we found a way to offer what I called a hybrid evening Riverwalk. We did it while the pool was open, and typically that starts at 7 to 7:45, and traffic's really low at that point in time, so the river walkers can still have a pretty good experience. There is a rule for having a float in. They have to have a tube in the lazy river. What we did to get around that, we asked the river walkers on the PM to carry at least one of those foam water weights. That's a visual for the guards to know what that person's doing, what's going on. Then they're not going to be approaching them, telling them they need to have a float or something. And it worked pretty good last year. It kept those river walkers happy, and I learned you got to keep the river walkers happy. So that's the proposal for 23, and I'll stand for any more other questions.
the Riverwalk punch passes are like a completely separate thing, right? So like you don't have to pay $6 to get in and then do your Riverwalk. Like it's just Riverwalk and that's the only thing that you do.
Right, now, the Riverwalk Punch Pass, is good for their AM entry. And in the PM, because in this hybrid environment, the pool is open. If the individual, and a lot of the Riverwalk patrons are of that age for free entry. So they can come in to the facility for free if they choose to do the Riverwalk activity instead of something else, jumping off the diving board or whatever, that's fine. So it works out for, to be a good advantage for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
But if a 16-year-old went in and bought a Riverwalk pass,
I'd say that again?
if a 16-year-old went in and bought a Riverwalk pass,
They
if
would,
they wanted to go to the PM session,
They would
they
have to,
wouldn't pay.
they would
the
have to
entry
use their
fee, They would
pass.
just use the pass,
just the
right?
pass gets you
Yep.
in.
Yep.
Okay.
So if a patron is of an age that's gonna be charged, between 3 and 61, they're gonna pay, to do the Riverwalk activity in the PM, just like they would in the AM.
Okay.
But they don't have to pay a separate admission fee for the pool.
Yeah,
No.
it's one fee.
No, they're gonna get in, if they come in and say, I wanna do a Riverwalk, they're gonna come in and do a Riverwalk.
Your prices are in pretty good line. I mean, this is what the market is, and for the private ones is a little bit startling because it's a pretty big jump, but you got to have guards, and that's where all your cost is tied up is in those guards. So,
Yep.
Did you consider getting rid of the quarters, one way or the other, rounded up or down?
Oh, we could, if you'd wanna see it, even $100 figure, we could do that.
It really doesn't matter. It would just be a little bit smoother process for your staff to handle and not having to change out a bunch of quarters or count quarters or might save you a little.
The truth is, most everything is on a card anymore.
Yeah.
We have very little cash or change, We get a few kids at concession that, boy, they bury us in change, But, at the front desk, it's mostly a card environment.
Okay.
What do we consider non-resident? Is that if they're not within city limits?
State limits.
So a non-resident, is somebody that does not live in the corporate limits of Spring Hill and does not pay, any type of city tax.
I wasn't sure if we included kind of the surrounding folks that are county, but, okay.
And so if we're qualifying somebody at that point and they're telling us they live in Spring Hill because, well, I have a Spring Hill zip code and I have a Spring Hill address, and, so if we're unsure of the address, then, they'll ask us, and then the qualification, and it's in that support document, you see all the forms that are online and that we use for the customers to fill out and give us the information. It does specify that for a family pass, if they're a resident, they need to be able to show a city water bill. City, something that shows that, hey, I do live in the corporate limits and I do pay city taxes.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing the non-resident higher. I know it already is a little higher, but since they aren't contributing, I wouldn't be opposed to even that being a little bit higher.
And really, the vast majority, probably, I'd say at least 75%, 75 to 80% of the family passes we sell are resident passes.
Okay.
It just makes sense. You'll utilize it more if you're close. So.
Yeah.
I like that they kept the family pass. I think that was really important. I know a lot of cities are doing away with that, but I think especially I come from a big family. I'm one of 10 kids, and I don't have that many kids. I have 4 kids, but it's nice to see that they still keep a family pass in place because, for families with a lot of kids, it'd be pretty pricey by the time you.
That's a really good deal for the family pass. That's
Yeah, my kids
very
love
good
it.
deal.
They love it.
Yeah, I believe we need to keep the family pass. One of the things that we're working towards also in a little bigger picture is we need to get these offerings online. And so part of that will be to try to reduce the amount and the complexity of the offerings so that they're easier to manage in that online environment. And that's what one of the steps this year is doing. We're taking some things that we just don't do a lot of, and we're eliminating those. I don't think I mentioned, as I talk about that, I don't think I mentioned that we've had an offering in the past, and I'm not sure what year it started, but doing birthday party add-on. So you rent a cabana and you can buy a birthday party add-on where we supply, anywhere from the big package, which is pizzas and soda pops and ice creams and a t-shirt, and
And a picture of the
cupcakes
mayor.
and, and we're managing all that. We were becoming party planners, we sold, I think, 4 to 5 of those parties last year. One of the big ones and the rest of them were the lower offering. We're gonna eliminate that this year. We're gonna push the cabanas, the best we can and try to get those group, the Recreation Commission this year is gonna start a program of bringing once a week a group of kids in and do a cabana rental and do some things. So we'll have a little bit more activity on cabanas for that too, but we'll find other opportunities.
You could get real creative with some promo stuff with the cabanas too, because we're not, I mean, whether they're full or not, we're not losing any money with
Right.
it. So, I mean, you could do buy one, get one, give them away to try and get, someone that might not come to the pool. You could get entry fee there because they got a free cabana rental or something like that. So, but there's a ton of stuff that you could do, kind of creatively to try and boost those cabanas.
Yeah, those are things we're thinking about, because that cabana, if we can give that cabana away a little more, we're not losing anything, but we can gain some group admissions. Even if we gain a group admission at the reduced rate, we're throwing more traffic in and we're increasing revenue, so.
Sounds good. I like it. Like, I kind of agree that, the private parties, it's a pretty steep jump on that. But if you're confident that we're not gonna, lose a lot of parties off of that, or, if we do lose parties, we're not, like you said, we're already losing money, so.
So it sounds like it's as good as
It'll be
zero
less
parties,
stress on the staff, so.
It's those prices are in line with the car.
Right. Right. So, yeah, I'm good with it.
So then, we're suggesting that, you either approve the rates that are being, brought and suggested, or, you can deny those and recommend some new rates, or tell us to go back and start over.
I'm good with it.
Yeah, I think we're good.
I think we should approve
Would you like a motion?
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the 2023 Aquatic Center rates summary as presented for the Spring Hill Aquatic Center.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
With that, that ends formal council action. We'll move on to announcements and reports. I don't believe I have anything on my end, other than I guess one thing just on a little more personal level. I have a family member moving to Spring Hill. My sister and her husband and 3 boys are moving here, so they'll be moving in this coming weekend. So that's exciting for me. I've never had family that lived close, so on a personal level, that's pretty exciting that they're moving in here, and he's actually going to be working here in Spring Hill. So it's kind of nice bringing somebody else in the workforce. So, Mrs. Rupp,
No report?
Mr. Van Houten,
No report.
Mr. Peel,
No report.
Mr. Young,
No report.
Mrs. North.
No report.
Wow, all quiet today. Mr. Massey.
No report, but I would like to say EMAW. Go K-State.
Rock Chalk. Yeah, we're pretty sad Rock Chalkers. But congrats, K-State, even though I'm a KU fan, congrats. Madam Clerk.
No report,
Mrs. Jones. Mr. Messer.
Of course, I've got a report. Let me just give you a couple updates on a couple of things. I think it might even make a few people smile. McInerney will start the street project, the milling and overlaying around April 3rd. So we're moving forward on that really quick, and that's a good news.
Do you want to just say where that is, just for the people listening? What street project it is?
I can't list them all. There's quite a
Okay.
few streets that we're doing. I wouldn't be able to say it on the top of my head, but it's been coming out with the maps, and
Yeah.
we're pretty excited about getting that started. We're kind of working They're gonna be doing some crack sealing ahead of it. We're gonna be trying to get ahead of them and milling some of the sections. We're doing some of that. The other thing, and Kevin, just before anybody asks, cause I know I'll get asked, we piled some more dirt out at Legacy. So I know somebody might ask, but we have a big hole in the dam, on the upper dam that we're gonna repair. And so we've stockpiled a little bit of clay. We're gonna be probably doing that in the next couple of weeks, but we'll be repairing a hole in the dam's the reason we brought in fill material. But that's all I got.
Chief Henson,
No report.
Mr. Lowe.
Just briefly, I want to clarify that when he says McEnany is doing the road replacement, not my law firm, so you guys do not get to see me hard at work.
With a shovel.
Probably the same family from years ago.
Just get Pat.
He said.
He already said,
already said no.
he said no report before I said his name, so. The game's already over. All right, with that, we're gonna move on to executive session. We do have one executive session, and I believe we need 15 minutes on that one. With that, I entertain a motion to move into executive session with maybe like a 5-minute break for bathroom if anybody needs it.
5 minute.
I'm good. I'm good. Either way.
Good. If we don't need it, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
Not taking
I
it.
can go.
Knock it out.
All right.
I move the city council recess into executive session for 15 minutes to receive advice of counsel pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception of KSA 754319 Bravo 6 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume in the city council chambers at 8:31.
Sorry, I think I actually put that motion wrong. Lane, is this?
Please hold.
Yeah, okay, sorry. Let me redo that on the fly. It's, preliminary discussions on land acquisition, B6. That's a Scrivener error by me, so.
Receive counsel on preliminary.
It's not attorney-client, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
Okay.
the exception would be preliminary discussions on acquisition of land property. Sorry.
Can I start that over?
And
The exception is not gonna be.
That is, I think I might have changed the numbering, not the word.
Oh, because I think it's usually. Yeah, B2 is attorney-client, so B6 is probably correct, but it's
Yeah.
just the language.
Yeah,
Okay, so the number's correct.
number's correct, new language, and I guess we'll have to do a new time also.
Receive advice of acquisition of property. Okay. We'll start over. I move the city council recess into executive session for 15 minutes to receive advice of acquisition of property. Exception of KSA 75-4319 Bravo 6 of the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting will resume the city council chambers at 8:33 p.m. No formal action is anticipated following the session. Persons to be in attendance are the following: Mr. Lane Massey, the city administrator. You're not listed there?
I'm Pepper.
it's not on the list.
Mr. Pat Burton and Mr. Spencer Lowe.
Got a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. We'll see you guys shortly.
Very cool.
Yep, we're done. Yep.
Thank you for coming. You get them in too?
Nope, don't need it.
You're good. I'll just trip on.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Let the record reflect that the governing body reconvened into open meeting at 8:33 PM. No votes were taken or decisions made during the executive session. The discussion was limited to the subject stated. With that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0-0. Have a good night, everybody.
Thanks.